Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here, and today for Listmas 2022, and more specifically Day 8, my buddy Jinx everywhere and I are going to be looking at our top 10 abandoned theme park projects.
Well, thanks for having me on, Drew, and hello, everybody. And this is our top 10 abandoned theme park projects, like Drew said. And my number 10, we have to start out over at Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort. And that's going to be Tomorrowland 2055. Tomorrowland 2055 was an attempt to update the broken and battered Tomorrowland back in the late 90s. This was, of course, before the rocket rods, astro blasters, and what we know today. What we know today is a still very broken Tomorrowland, but Tomorrowland 2055 set out to fix some of the problems that were originally created by the original idea of Tomorrowland. And honestly, Tomorrowland as a whole is fundamentally broken. And what's going to be a recurring theme on this list, Disneyland Paris, Euro Disney was kind of the combination and the failure of this project.
Coming in at number 9, we're going to be heading to our neighboring state of Nevada to Las Vegas for the Stratosphere Tower Fishhook Coaster manufactured by Aerodynamics. This proposed record-breaking ride was going to have a 740-foot tall top height, as well as 122 mile per hour top speed, as an elevator lift would take you all the way towards the top of the Stratosphere Hotel and drop you in a nearly vertical fashion towards Las Vegas Boulevard. From this point, you'd hook back upwards 415 feet into the air. That's right, taller than the world's tallest coasters. Well, I guess with the exception of 2 of them, as you'd slowly come to a stop. Now, why didn't this ride happen, you ask? Well, it was proposed in 2001 when Aero was in kind of a rough spot. By 2002, of course, the company had filed for bankruptcy and the project ended up not happening. Of course, some other problems with this amazing record-breaking ride was the fact that it was right next to a residential neighborhood. And of course, coasters are too loud for a lot of people that live right by them, so this project was realistically doomed from the get-go. There was even a proposal to bring the height down to 500 feet instead, as well as enclosing the coaster itself to dampen noise as much as possible. But due to Aero going bankrupt, this ride just didn't pan out.
Wow, the Fishhook Coaster sounds lit. But we're going to head back over to California, specifically to Long Beach, California, where back in the 80s, the Rather Corporation, which owned the Disneyland Hotel, was acquired by none other than Disney. When Disney made this purchase of the Rather Corporation, they also acquired the Queen Mary property in Long Beach. Later, this would be a combination on a project called Port Disney Sea. This is not to be confused with Tokyo Disney Sea that's currently at Tokyo Disneyland, but Port Disney Sea / Port Disney was a theme park proposal for Long Beach. Just like the Fishhook Coaster, the citizens of Long Beach was not too fond of Disney making their way to the city. Now, Port Disney, or Disney Sea Long Beach, was announced in 1990. The project was cancelled in 1991 due to public opposition. Disney decided they'll pack their bags from Long Beach, and later they did sell the property to an outside company, leaving the Port Disney Sea not only shelved, but totally abandoned. I think a lot of the reasons why us Disney fans were so disappointed with Port Disney not coming to fruition is because they took the concept of Port Disney and they turned it into Tokyo Disney Sea, which is arguably one of the most beautiful, lovely theme parks ever created. And I can't wait to personally get out there and experience what could have been in Long Beach, in my backyard, very soon. Hopefully, we'll see.
Man, I wish this would have happened as well, but then again, if it did, we wouldn't have gotten the fabulous Aquarium of the Pacific. Regardless, though, tying some of those ideas together with Japan and Disney, we're going to head to Epcot now for number 7 as we discuss the Fuji roller coaster. That's right, Epcot could have gotten its first coaster 40 years ago now, in the addition of a Matterhorn-like Fuji coaster. This ride, of course, would have been themed to the majestic mountain, as it would have loomed over the entirety of the Japan Pavilion and the rest of World Showcase. Not much is known about this ride in total, outside of the fact that monetary reasons were most likely for its cancellation. But man, imagine if Epcot got its first coaster sometime in the 80s and it was similar to the Matterhorn. I can bet it was going to be a fan favorite.
I'll tell you, man, the Fuji roller coaster sounded amazing. And honestly, I don't understand why they won't build it today. Oh yeah, Guardians, that's why. Anyway, we're going to travel down the road a bit, and we're going to go to Animal Kingdom. And that's for Beastly Kingdom. And now, if you know anything about Animal Kingdom and Disney history, you know about Beastly Kingdom. This project was one of the opening day projects that unfortunately got shelved. Now, when we talk about canceled projects, Beastly Kingdom is a hot topic for not only Disney parks fans, but theme park fans alike. Now, back when the park was being designed, they were trying to figure out what could go into the next section of Animal Kingdom. Now, Animal Kingdom celebrates animals, and the Beastly Kingdom section of the park celebrated the mythical creatures, much like dragons, unicorns, and much more. One of the attractions was going to be called the Quest of the Unicorn. It was a mythological maze, like a walkthrough attraction, much like what Journey of Moana is today. Also, there was a rumored roller coaster going into this part of the park called Dragon's Tower. Now, this roller coaster on the concept art looks like an inverting type roller coaster, much like manufactured by Aerodynamics with those suspended roller coasters, or manufactured by B&M. Of course, we have no idea who was going to be the contractor for this project because it never got built. Instead, what got built was Camp Mini Mickey, and eventually that was turned into what we know as today as Pandora, the World of Avatar, which is an amazing land, and I guess you can say it took notes from Beastly Kingdom.
I totally wish Beastly Kingdom became a thing, but of course we kind of got Islands of Adventure out of it, so a win is a win. I mean, Velocicoaster, right? Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about number 5 as we head to multiple different parts of the United States, including Georgia, Orlando, Las Vegas, and even New Jersey. That's right, we're talking about the Polar Coaster. This ride concept was originally announced 10 years ago now, as this mythical ride to break the 500-foot mark for roller coasters. The original iterations were designed by Intamin before the project was officially turned over to S&S Worldwide. Now, the tallest of these rides was proposed to be 650 feet tall, and guess where? Las Vegas, of course. With a launched vertical lift hill to get you all the way up to the top. There would be plenty of inversions, different dips and dives all over the place to try and get you down to the ground yet again. And that's without mentioning the potential for drop towers being on the side of this massive structure, but also the fact that there could have been plenty of other different multi-purpose uses at the very tippy top, including maybe a restaurant or potentially a place to have a show. Regardless though, with all 4 that have been announced, none of them have made it past the breaking ground phase, and I think it's fair to assume at this point, since it's been 9 years since the last announcement, that none of these rides are happening, at least anytime soon.
Imagine announcing 4 independent roller coasters and then not building a single one and they're all the same model. Crazy. Never happened before. Anyway, we're going to go to number 4, and that's Universal Studios Dubai Land. We're traveling all the way to the United Arab Emirates for Universal Studios Dubai Land. This project had a very interesting history. It was originally announced in 2007, and the project broke ground in 2008. That's right, this one actually broke ground. They moved dirt. They even built an archway in the middle of a desert to let everyone know that Universal Studios Dubai Land was coming. Now, Universal Studios Dubai was a part of a mega project called Dubai Land. And Dubai Land's purpose was to take the #1 theme park destination in the world. And this is not just Universal Studios Dubai, but this is a bunch of other projects that at this current moment we don't have time to go into. There was going to be several lands, one being Hollywood, New York, Surf City, Epic Adventures, and Legendary heroes. Bunch of rides were announced for this project. There was going to be 2 trackless dark ride shooters themed to Ghostbusters and both Men in Black. And there was going to be a clone of the Incredible Hulk coaster that's at Islands of Adventure. Now, even though the project broke ground in 2008, it quickly stopped developing. They just graded the land, and that was about it. They still sunk a ton of money into this project. But the final Hail Mary to try to save this project is they were going to build the world's largest mall, and it was going to have an attached Universal Studios branded family entertainment center. But on October 27, 2016, it was announced that all plans for Universal Studios Dubai Land have been scrapped. And now, you can still visit the archway in the middle of the desert.
Well, at least for number 3, we can say we got more than just an arch in the middle of nowhere. As we're going to head to Disneyland in, of course, the late 80s, when the future of their theme parks were looking fantastic, for Indiana Jones and the Lost Expedition.
But Drew, Indiana Jones was built.
That is true. Indiana Jones was built, but not in the original way it was supposed to. The original version of that project was going to include, of course, the ride we all know and love, a rerouting of the Jungle Cruise, as well as a minecart coaster. All 3 were going to combine in one ginormous atrium, even bigger than the one we have for the current ride today. And yes, that means that Jungle Cruise was going to be even more focused on that Indiana Jones adventure theme, as it would find itself on the edge of a cliff looking down towards a lava pit, just as a minecart coaster would be running right over next to it. This all with the Jeep attraction in the background that we know and love. It would have been the most amazing piece of kineticism in any park ever, and I mean that. Granted, I will say Indiana Jones Adventure is still an absolutely phenomenal ride and a must ride for any new park goers to Disneyland. But man, I can't help but think when I ride it, there could have been a coaster here, and Jungle Cruise could have been so much longer, and this and that and... Anyway, Carter, what's your number 2?
I mean, as long as they still have the backside of water, that's all that matters. My number 2. Coming in at number 2 for me is, of course, the Westcott Master Plan at the Disneyland Resort. This was the culmination of a very cancelled Port Disney, as we were talking about earlier. Instead of Port Disney, once they lost the fight to build a theme park in Long Beach, they turned their attention back to resort proper, and they decided, hey, let's use the parking lot that we currently have for Disneyland, and let's build a second gate directly across from Walt's original Magic Kingdom, and that was Westcott. Westcott was a grand plan of a new theme park, an amphitheater, hotels, a new monorail system, and it would be the West Coast equivalent to Epcot Center. And if you know anything about Epcot Center, it was a constant world's fail. And Westcott was like Epcot Center, but on a much grander scale. And at the centerpiece of this new theme park would be a towering 300-foot sphere-like structure. Now, to put in perspective how big that structure is, Spaceship Earth at Epcot is 180 feet. This would nearly be double the height. And of course, the citizens of good old Orange County did not take too fondly with Michael Eisner's and the Walt Disney Company wanting to put a giant golden sphere in the middle of Anaheim. But the Westcott Master Plan was not just a theme park. It was so much more. There was hotels, shopping, dining, an amphitheater, like I said, a monorail system. Westcott would be home to a central hub known as Ventureport, and the crossroads between the different worlds would be wonders of living, wonders of Earth, and wonders of space. There would also be a world showcase type area just like in Epcot, and it would be called the Four Corners of the World. The four realms would be Asia, Europe, the Americas, and Africa. Westcott had a lot of different notes borrowed from Epcot, but it would have its own identity. Westcott was most ambitious, creative, and crazy theme park projects that Disney themselves has ever undertaken. And it is a darn shame that we never saw this project come to the light of day. And the project we did come to the light of day was DCA 1.0.
Hey now, don't be talking trash on DCA 1.0. I'm kidding. Oh man, what a fever dream that park was.
Fever dream? Yeah, you remember Superstar Limo?
Actually, no, I don't. I was too young. Anyway, I do remember Bountiful Valley Farms, though. What an amazing place that was. Anyway, since we're talking about Disney parks that never happened, let's talk about one that also didn't happen. Disney's America. Now, you might be thinking, Disney's America, well, are you talking about the Virginia version? No, I'm talking about what may have become of Knott's Berry Farm in the mid-90s. During this time, the Knott's family was looking to sell their park to a potential future owner. And high off the cancellation of the Virginia project, Disney's America, Eisner and the gang were looking for a new place to host this idea. Well, Knott's already had a bunch of ghost town theming as well as some other American-themed areas, and it's pretty dang close to Disneyland proper. So it was proposed that Disney buy Knott's Berry Farm, as they already had a quite close relationship, as the two Walts were constantly talking to each other when the parks were in their youth. This proposed buyout of Knott's Berry Farm by Disney actually included a brand new entrance area by the recreation of Independence Hall and renaming that section to President's Square, very reminiscent of Liberty Square at Magic Kingdom. From this point on, you would have seen Bigfoot Rapids change into the Lewis and Clark Expedition, not too far off from the Potts and Coulter theming that currently inhibits the ride, as well as a recreation of Ellis Island in the middle of Reflections Lake. Well, now Silver Bullet stands over that point. But this to me is one of the biggest what-ifs in history, at least theme park history, that is. Now you might be wondering, why didn't this happen? And I will have a future video on this, so make sure to subscribe. But the biggest reasons were the fact that they weren't able to construct a monorail system over to the park, as it was seen to be too large and costly, as well as trying to get through a lot of those hoops with city planning just weren't working out. In addition to that, the Knott's family was too afraid of Disney changing their parents' vision. So at the end of the day, they scrapped the deal and sold to Cedar Fair, and Ghost Rider would be the last original ride implemented by the Knott's family. Funnily enough, though, Cedar Fair would end up changing more at the park than was ever planned by Disney, as Reflections Lake is no more, and there's been a whole host of changes ever since. But in my mind, this is still one of the most interesting abandoned theme park projects that we've ever seen. So there you have it, our top 10 abandoned theme park projects. What's your favorite to talk about? Let me know down in the comments below. And of course, while you're down there, check out the description with tons of links, including the link to Jinx everywhere. Make sure you go check out his channel. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers ASAP. He's got some fantastic content. Make sure to go check it out. Carter, speaking of which, you got anything to say?
No, not much to say. Thanks for having me on, Drew. I love this topic. This is one of my passion topics. I love to talk about what if. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me be a part of this little Listmas video. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Jinx everywhere on all social media platforms. Here on YouTube, when I post on YouTube, when I post at all. But yeah, yeet.
Yeet indeed, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Of course, make sure to go check them out. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. We've got another 4 days of Listmas after this. You're not going to want to miss out on my top 25 coasters overall, premiering on December 25th. But I want to say thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And of course, as always, we'll see you on the next ride.